Hi guys. We're actually here today to talk about my favorite genre of written literature, and that is nonfiction. I would say written literature is divided basically into three sections: poetry, fiction, and nonfiction. I wouldn't really include drama because drama comes to as a written literature. I do include it as literature, but not as a written literature because it comes to life on stage, and film as a literature comes to life on a screen. But those three written literatures that are basically left on the page, and that's where the audience interacts with it on the page: poetry, nonfiction, and fiction. Nonfiction is my favorite. But how do you define nonfiction? It's by its very title. It's everything that isn't fiction, and that's quite a big definition. So nonfiction, yes, does include things like manuals and historical records, and people often immediately think of nonfiction as boring. But the truth is that nonfiction can use the best of the techniques of both fiction writers and poetry writers to create some really compelling and worthwhile pieces of writing that are just as literary and just as artful as both fiction and poetry are able to be. So I'm excited for us to have a section of our class focus on nonfiction. And so I want to tell you too that yes, nonfiction does include those historical records and the manuals and the how-tos and things of that nature. But nonfiction also includes letters and diaries, like the Diary of Anne Frank. For example, a well-loved book that is a collected real-life piece of writing, true to life. Also letters. People have collected letters from historical figures or events and put those together to get a greater understanding of what truly happened in a given time. At times, journalists are more creative with their writing than just the facts. They go beyond that to give a fuller picture, one that uses techniques of fiction writing, like setting a scene and propelling a storyline, a narrative, to draw you into real life writings. Other subgenres of nonfiction, and there are many other subgenres, include memoir, food writing. We're gonna read Mint Snowball in Intro to Lit. If that's why you're watching this particular video at this time, we'll be given a chance to look at some food writing. Nature writing. There's a subgenre called the lyric essay, which really focuses, much like poetry, on the language, on the sound, on the music of the writing, even though it's prose, even though it's nonfiction. So that's the lyric essay. Experimental writing generally falls in the category of nonfiction. Something that falls even as a subcategory of experimental writing would be fragmented writing, where you collect bits and pieces of something and put them together, and in their individual state they maybe don't make a lot of sense, but when you put them together, a fuller, more complete picture can emerge. That would be a fragmented essay, which is an experimental type of writing, which is a subgenre of nonfiction. Like I said before, creative journalism and letters. And in fact, sometimes nonfiction will cross into other categories that we will study in Intro to Film, or in Intro to Literature. For example, film would be able to, there are nonfiction films, there are nonfiction graphic novels, there are nonfiction poems. So many of these genres cross back and forth. And that is just a quick introduction into nonfiction. I look forward to reading some pieces with you guys, and I will see you either online or in class. Thanks so much. All right, bye-bye.